What does it take to silence a man who's faced war, loss, and the weight of a nation's gratitude, only to find himself vilified on the very soil he fought for? James Harper stood at the edge of Westfield University's quad, his breath visible in the crisp autumn air. At 45, he was no stranger to conflict. Decades in the military had etched that into his bones. But today's battle was different. It wasn't fought with rifles or strategy. It was fought with words, posters, and a megaphone wielded by students half his age. They called him a symbol of oppression, a relic of a violent past. His crime? Accepting an invitation to speak at the campus Veterans Appreciation event. The flyers had gone up overnight. "Cancel James Harper," they screamed in bold red letters, accusing him of glorifying war. Social media buzzed with hashtags, "No heroes here," trending across the university's X page. James, a decorated veteran who'd served 3 tours in Afghanistan, was stunned. He'd come to share stories of camaraderie, sacrifice, and the cost of freedom, not to stoke division. Yet here he was, the center of a storm he hadn't seen coming. The protest began at noon. A crowd of students, led by a fiery activist named Mia, gathered outside the lecture hall. Mia, a junior majoring in social justice, clutched a megaphone, her voice sharp and unwavering. "We don't need your war stories, Harper," she shouted. "You represent everything we're fighting against." The crowd roared, signs waving like battle flags. James stood silently at the podium inside, his hands steady but his heart heavy. The event organizer whispered an apology, suggesting he leave through the back door. James shook his head. "I've never run from a fight," he said quietly. But he didn't fight, not the way they expected. Instead, James walked out the front door, straight into the crowd. The jeers grew louder, cameras flashing, phones recording. Mia stepped forward, her eyes blazing. "Why are you even here?" she demanded. James met her gaze, his voice calm but firm. "Because I was invited. Because I have a story. Will you listen?" The crowd hesitated, thrown by his lack of anger. Mia scoffed, but didn't stop him. He began to speak, right there in the quad. No microphone, just his voice carrying over the murmurs. He didn't talk about glory or victories. He spoke of his best friend, Marcus, who died shielding a child from a roadside bomb. He spoke of the nightmares that still woke him at 3 a.m., of the letters he wrote to families who'd lost sons and daughters. He spoke of the weight of carrying a flag for a country that sometimes forgot its own. His words weren't polished, but they were raw, unyielding, human. The crowd grew quiet. Phones lowered. Mia's megaphone hung at her side. A girl in the back wiped her eyes. James didn't notice. He was lost in his story, in the truth he'd carried for years. He spoke of coming home, of feeling like a stranger in his own country, of wanting to build bridges, not walls. "I'm not here to tell you war is right," he said. "I'm here to tell you what it costs." When he finished, the quad was silent. Then, a single clap broke the stillness, followed by another. It wasn't universal. Some walked away, unconvinced, but others stayed. Mia, her voice softer now, asked, "Why didn't you tell us this before?" James smiled faintly. "You didn't ask." Hours later, the campus was abuzz again, but the tone had shifted. A small group of students, including Mia, approached James at a nearby coffee shop. They wanted to talk, not shout. Over lukewarm lattes, they asked questions about Marcus, about the scars, about what it meant to serve. Mia admitted she'd judged him without knowing him. "I thought you were just a soldier," she said, her voice breaking. "I didn't see the person." James nodded, no trace of bitterness. "We're all people first," he said. "That's what I fought for." By nightfall, the hashtag "No Heroes Here" had faded, replaced by posts of reflection, some apologetic, others still skeptical but respectful. Mia and a few others organized an impromptu vigil in the quad, not for war, but for understanding. Candlelight flickered as students shared stories of their own fears, hopes, losses. James stood among them, not as a hero or a villain, but as a man who dared to speak his truth. The next morning, a new flyer appeared on campus. Listen first. It wasn't a victory for James or a defeat for the activists. It was a beginning. Tears had fallen not from shame or anger, but from the raw, messy collision of hearts opening to one another. In a world quick to cancel, James had shown that sometimes the bravest act is simply to stand and speak.